Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more. It was the start of summer in 1999. Ben's parents had split years ago, and he never quite understood why. He suspected another woman had been involved. At just 15, Ben lived with his mom in LA. His father lived somewhere upstate. It had been 3 years since they'd seen each other, but every birthday and Christmas, gifts would still arrive. Last birthday, he'd gotten a high-end mountain bike. Now, his mom had taken a new job as a lab technician at a cosmetics plant in a small town far from LA. He glanced one last time at his childhood home, his friends waving goodbye from the sidewalk, before getting into the station wagon. It all felt like running away. In a few days, they'd be in a new house, over 600 miles from everything he knew. Ben was what people called a late developer. His voice hadn't even begun to break, and shaving seemed far off. He'd always been slim and a bit shorter than most. People said he looked just like his mom. It was the first week of summer break. His mom thought it'd be good for him to get used to his new town before school started. Maybe he'd make some new friends. From the moment their station wagon passed the sign, he knew it wasn't going to be an exciting place. Welcome to Choata Springs, population 270. It was small and faded. Next to the town sign, a much larger and brighter billboard read, "Summer Cosmetics, Keeping America Beautiful." Ben groaned. The town was nestled high in the mountains, surrounded by Indian pine. It had taken over an hour just to reach it from the highway. On the way, they'd passed a bigger town called India Flats. "Your new school will be here," his mom had said. They drove into Choata. Originally a logging town, the main street had only a few shops and a diner that looked like it hadn't changed since the 1960s when the dam had flooded much of the valley. There wasn't even a McDonald's. The moving van came and went, and Ben and his mom settled into their new house. The rest of their things were piled up in the garage to be sorted later. On the third day, after moving more of his stuff into the house, Ben decided to get his bike and ride around town to see what it was like. It was eerily quiet. The only people around were store owners and the occasional truck driver. He hadn't seen anyone younger than 25. On his fourth lap around town, he spotted a girl about his age. She was riding a purple mountain bike. He slowly rode up behind her, enjoying the view of her in tight cut-off jeans. She wore a red shirt tied at the waist and had long black hair pulled into a ponytail. He sped up and shouted as he passed her, "Hey!" To his surprise, she quickly overtook him. Ben decided to race her, putting more effort into his pedaling. They were neck and neck when the traffic light ahead turned red. "Good ride," Ben said. "Thanks. You're not bad yourself," she replied. "I could really go for a Coke right now." She pointed to a store across the street, where a soda cooler sat on the porch. "Sure," Ben said. They bought their drinks and stood in the shade. "So, you're new in town?" she asked. "Yeah, my mom's renting a house on Green Spring Drive." "How did you know?" "Your mom works at the factory, right?" "Mine's the senior partner." "I'm Grace, by the way." Ben raised an eyebrow. "Grace? Really?" She smiled wryly. "Yeah, I know, it's a little cheesy. Grace Summers. My mom's the senior partner at the factory." "Your mom just started there, didn't she?" "Yeah," Ben replied. "Now I'm stuck here for the next couple of years. This town's boring." "It's not that bad," Grace said. "I'm having a pool party tomorrow. You should come. My mom will be at work, so it'll be just us." The next day, Ben woke up to the doorbell ringing. He glanced at the clock. It was already 11:30 a.m. He shuffled downstairs in his sweatpants and an old t-shirt. His mom must have left for work hours ago. When he opened the door, the bright sunshine hit him, and Grace stood on the steps. "Still in bed, she teased. "You coming swimming, or are you hibernating?" Grace made herself at home in the kitchen, surrounded by boxes, as Ben struggled to find his jeans upstairs. Still unpacking, she shouted up to him. His voice came muffled from upstairs. Yeah, it's like a bomb went off or something. Ben opened the garage door, revealing crates piled high on the floor. My mom's at work, and I can't find my swimsuit, he muttered, staring at the pile. No problem, Grace said. There's gotta be something you can borrow. The sun blazed as they cycled across town, heading to Grace's house. Her family owned a large wooden stone villa just outside of town. From the driveway, you could just catch a glimpse of the lake through the trees. A pile of bikes was already waiting in the front yard when they arrived. It turned out the bikes belonged to 11 of the most attractive girls Ben had ever seen. Maybe things would get better after all, he thought. Grace introduced him to her friends. Okay, Ben, Grace said. Take a seat, and I'll find you something to wear. He watched as the girls disappeared into the pool house, then came back in all kinds of revealing swimsuits. Ben rose from the poolside lounger, took the bundle Grace handed him, and unwrapped it. Inside the green beach towel was a twist of shiny black fabric. He held it up. It was a one-piece lycra swimsuit. I can't wear this, he stammered. It's a girl's swimsuit. What did you expect? Grace laughed. Why would I have a boy's one? But if you'd rather wear this one, I'm sure we could swap. She wiggled playfully in her hot pink bikini, making Ben uncomfortable as the fabric shifted. The other girls giggled at Ben's visible embarrassment. He turned red, hoping they hadn't noticed the awkward bulge in his jeans from Grace's teasing shimmy. Come on, Ben, don't be shy. It's just us here. No one's going to call you a sissy. It's basically just like those unitards Olympic runners wear. He paused, thinking. She was right, it was just a swimsuit, after all. It wasn't like he was being asked to wear a dress or something. He grinned, remembering how he had tried on his mom's clothes a few times back in LA when no one was around. 3 of the girls were already in the pool, one splashing water at him with a grin. Hey, cut it out, he called, half turning away. And there, right in front of him, were Grace's large brown eyes. So, are you swimming or what? Grace asked. Ben scanned the pool. 11 girls, the only people his age in this odd town. If he didn't make a move now, he'd be stuck riding his bike alone and playing solo games for the rest of the summer. At least next time, he'd have his own swimsuit, he just had to find it in the pile of boxes in the garage. All right, but you have to promise not to laugh, he said. Some of the girls made mock-hurt faces. Ben walked into the pool house, stripped off his jeans and sneakers, and dropped his t-shirt and shorts onto the floor. For a moment, he stood there, exposed. Just beyond the corner were 11 attractive girls, and here he was, in a strange house. The unfamiliar swimsuit gave him a bit of trouble at first. He accidentally put it on backward but quickly fixed it. It clung to him like a second skin. The large mirror on the rear wall of the pool house reflected his image. As he bent down to take off his socks, he couldn't help but glance at himself. The swimsuit covered him from chest to thigh, and its design made his torso taper between his legs. It held him snugly, and he was relieved to see no obvious bulge. The 2 straps were confusing until he realized they tied at the back of his neck. With his fair skin and small frame, he almost looked like a flat-chested girl. He gave his reflection a playful pout, then slowly walked out to the pool. The girls were sitting by the pool, sipping sodas. Wet footprints dotted the ground as they turned to look at him. Well, look at you, beach babe, said Mia, a redhead. Ben remembered her name easily. With her long, slicked-back hair and shiny green cropped swimsuit, she looked like one of those plastic dolls. We'll have to start calling you Bobby now. Quit messing with me, Ben shot back, about to offer a witty retort when Grace dove into the pool. Last one in's a rotten egg, she yelled. Everyone ran toward the pool, and Ben was the 4th to jump in. Soon, he forgot all about the swimsuit, splashing and swimming with the others. To anyone watching, it looked like a group of teenage girls having fun on a sunny afternoon. By 2 p.m., Ben had learned the names of all the girls. There was Mia, still calling him Bobby, Beth, the quiet one, Amber and Jade,
blonde sisters only a year apart, Sue, whose mom ran the diner, Marjorie, or Maz, Julia, Ally, Shelley, and Mary. Of course, there was also Grace. When they took a break for sodas and ice cream, it felt like a debriefing. Questions came thick and fast. Now, the group lay on lounges and towels by the pool. They're all right for a bunch of girls, Ben thought, feeling more at ease. Maybe this place wouldn't be so bad after all. It turned out that all of the girls' moms, except for Sue's, worked at the same place as Ben's mom. For one reason or another, none of the fathers seemed to live with them. It's like the single-parent capital of the world, Shelley had told him. Most everyone here is tied to the factory. It's the only reason this town still exists. And there are hardly any men working there. You're the only boy your age in the entire town. Then it happened out of the cool water and surrounded by all these girls, Ben suddenly got an erection that was visible through his black lycra suit. He tried to sit in a way that would hide it, but it was too late. Grace had noticed. With a sly smile, she reached into a bag under her lounger and pulled out a large, sheer scarf. You might want to put this around your waist if your little friend is going to make an appearance, she teased. She loosely tied it around him. Looks like Bobby likes being a girl, someone laughed. Get a picture, Shelley shouted. Shelley pulled out a camera. Okay, girls. Smile for the camera. Ben hesitated. He wasn't thrilled about posing in a girl's swimsuit, but Grace tugged him to his feet. She took his hand and led him to the poolside. Come on, Ben, it's just for fun. Her hand was warm, and Ben couldn't help but notice how cute she was. He smiled nervously, deciding to go along with it. He stepped closer to her. Click. That was it. Before long, everyone had taken photos, posing by the pool like models or just fooling around. When Shelley ran out of film, Ben had been in at least 5 of the pictures. He never would have believed that he could have so much fun with a bunch of girls, and he hadn't even tried to flirt with any of them. It was getting close to 5 o'clock, and everyone started heading home. Ben had changed back into his regular clothes, but something had shifted. The girls' attitudes had changed when he reappeared, still friendly, but not the same. Gee, Ben, I almost forgot you were a boy, Beth said. It's a shame you're not really a girl. You could come to slumber parties and everything. That was it. While they'd been swimming, he had felt like one of the girls, like part of the group. Now, he was just a boy again. Only Grace treated him the same as always. When the others had left, they rode back across town together. Ben told her what Beth had said. Grace laughed. Don't worry about it. You can borrow my swimsuit anytime you want, she joked. Bobby. Maybe I should just wear a skirt next time, Ben said, laughing at the thought. My mom would freak out. Grace grinned. You'd make a cute girl. Nice legs, too bad about the face, she teased. Ben put on a squeaky Minnie Mouse voice and said, Ooh, you're so cruel. They laughed and teased each other all the way home. The next day, Sunday, Grace and Shelley stopped by, and Ben's mom made an early lunch for everyone. She was happy he was making new friends. They helped Ben sort out his room, and he even managed to find his swimsuit in one of the boxes. They were laughing about it when Ben's mom came in with cookies and soda. What's all the noise about? She asked. The whole story came out quickly. Shelley even mentioned how cute Ben had looked. He blushed bright red. His mom laughed, but Ben thought he saw something strange in her expression. Hey, Shelley said, the photos are in my bag. She rushed downstairs. Ben's mom flipped through the pictures, asking about the other girls. Ben watched her closely as she came to the ones of him. You do look kind of cute, Ben. What did Mrs. Summers say about you borrowing Grace's swimsuit? She was at work, Ben murmured. Anyway, I've got mine now, he said, waving his trunks. They finished the cookies. Why don't you all go out and play? I'll finish up in here. After they'd ridden off on their bikes, Ben's mom sat down with the photos again. Oh, Ben, she said quietly. The girls rode down to the lake to show Ben the old logging mill. It was kind of cool in a creepy, Friday the 13th type way. It was right on the edge of the lake, and they sat on a crumbling loading dock, watching the water. A rusting truck leaned slowly into the long grass. "I'm sorry about telling your mom about the swimsuit," Shelley said. "It just kind of slipped out. But you did look cute." Grace nodded in agreement. "Anyway, she seems fine about it. Your mom's pretty cool." Back home, Ben's mom was on the phone with Mrs. Summers. "So, you've seen the photos, too?" "No, I don't think it's a problem," she said. "Grace's told me all about it. I shouldn't worry." There was a pause. "In fact, I have a rather strange request." About half an hour later, Ben's mom hung up the phone. Mrs. Summers, Ben's mom's new boss, had suggested the idea, and though Ben's mom wasn't thrilled about it, she hesitated to say no. "Well, it really has to be Ben's decision," she had said. "If he wants to, I suppose it would be okay." After all, she was certain Ben would never agree to it. She had always made sure Ben had a normal boy's upbringing: baseball, football, camping trips, especially after she and his father separated. Ben's mom looked at the photos once more, then went to the closet to pull out the family album. She slipped out the most recent picture of Ben and compared it to the ones from the pool party. After a moment, she flipped to the front of the album, where Ben's baby pictures were. One showed a tall, dark woman holding him. One day, she thought, she would have to tell him. But not yet. Ben's mom was sure that Ben would think the idea was ridiculous. Meanwhile, Grace, Shelley, and Ben sat in Ben's kitchen. "Mrs. Summers has asked us over for coffee," Ben's mom said. "You too, Shelley. Can you ask your mom to come as well?" The three of them exchanged uncertain looks. What's going on, they wondered. Shelley and Grace had cycled home, and Ben was eager to know what was happening. "We aren't in trouble, are we?" Ben asked. "We haven't done anything wrong." No, his mom reassured him. "It's a surprise. Mrs. Summers has something planned for all the girls, and she wants to see if you'd like to be involved." The driveway at Grace's house was full of cars. All the girls were already there with their moms, and it took a few minutes for everyone to greet Ben and his mom. Photos of the girls were spread out on the table. "Okay," Mrs. Summers said, getting everyone's attention. "Now that we're all here, I have some very exciting news for you all." She addressed the women as Ben and the girls waited to hear what would happen next. As most of you know, Summer Cosmetics is launching a new line for teenagers. It's going to be called Teen Angel. We've already received a huge response from our customers, and there's a lot of interest from a major teen clothing chain that wants to carry the full range. This is going to be a big deal, and it'll help us gain a larger share of the market in the new millennium. Now for the really exciting part. Since this is all aimed at teenage girls, instead of hiring the usual models, I thought we'd see if you girls would be interested in modeling for us. There will be photo shoots and possibly even a chance to walk down the catwalk to show the range to our customers. Plus, it's not just about the makeup. This clothing chain I mentioned, New York, is launching a new millennium collection for the same age range, so we'll be working with them on this. The girls stopped chatting and stared at Mrs. Summers. MIA spoke first. "This is so cool. We really get to be models." All the girls joined in, thrilled by the idea, and chaos erupted. Ben looked at his mom, who had a strange expression on her face. The girls were all hugging each other, almost as if Ben wasn't even there. "Mrs. Summers," Ben said, "why am I here?" "Oh yes, Ben," Mrs. Summers replied. "I have something special in mind for you. It would be a shame to have all the girls involved and leave you out since you're just getting to know everyone. Now, don't be shocked," she said, picking up a picture from the table. It was one of Ben in Grace's swimsuit at the pool party. "When I saw this," she continued, "it gave me an idea. If you're willing, I'd like you to model for us too." Everyone fell silent and turned to look at him. "But I'm a boy," Ben stammered. "I know, but it would be a real coup for us if we could make you look as attractive as the girls are going to." Ben was at a loss for words. "Mom," he said. "Well, dear," his mom said, I was surprised when Mrs. Summers told me her idea, but it's up to you. If you want to try it, it's your decision. Ben's photo was passed around. Go on, Ben, Grace said with a grin. It would be so cool, like we're all girls together. I know you'd look great. The others joined in, encouraging him. Then MIA spoke up. You're all crazy, she said. Ben can't be a model. No one would believe he's a girl, and it would make us all look ridiculous. The argument broke out, with Ben defending his right to try it. Everyone except MIA and her mom was telling him to go for it. That's when MIA made a bet, saying Ben wouldn't actually go through with it. He couldn't stop himself. All right, I will. The other girls went wild, nearly smothering him with excitement. It was settled he'd go up to the factory tomorrow to visit the makeup studio, just to take a look. If he decided he didn't want to go through with it, he didn't have to. On the way home, Ben's mom was unusually quiet. What was he doing? He was about to look like an idiot. Ben pushed open the door of the salon, which was empty. Well, no one's here, he thought. I can just leave. At least they can't say I didn't try. He was about to turn to leave when someone entered through the door at the other end of the salon. Hi. You must be Ben. Call me Jessica. She was tall and blonde, with the polished look of a professional beautician. Her white uniform jacket had the Summer Cosmetics logo on it, and she wore a knee-length white dress that gave off a glamorous, almost doctor-like vibe. Mrs. Summers told me all about you, she said. I think it's fantastic that you agreed to do this. I wasn't sure you'd even show up. The girls are really excited. She had him sit in one of the pink leather chairs. Okay, let's take a good look at you, she said, examining him carefully. Good skin, good hair, though a little short, but nothing that we can't work with. Nice and thick. Good bone structure too. I think we can really do something great here. Jessica wanted to know all about how Ben cared for his hair, whether he'd ever used beauty products, and if he had any allergies. Ben was at a loss. After all, he was a boy, and as far as he was concerned, the bathroom was just for a quick wash and go. No wonder his mom spent so much time in there. Jessica walked to the other end of the salon, her heels clicking on the tiles. She came back with a whole armful of hair extensions in different colors. One by one, she compared them to Ben's hair. Well, we don't have an exact match, she said. How would you feel about a little coloring? Ben shrugged. Don't worry, I'm not going to turn you into a clown. If you change your mind, now's the time to say. Ben thought about the others. There was no way he was going to let MIA win. Backing out would feel like admitting defeat. He swallowed hard. He couldn't back out now. He looked through the colored strands. This one's just like my mom's color, he said. Great choice, Jessica replied. After all, you know what they say, blondes always have more fun. Okay, take off your jacket, and we can get started. Ben looked at himself in the mirror. There wasn't much of him visible beneath the pink cape and plastic cap. He was reduced to just his face, which was now covered in a white cream, with only his eyes showing. All right, Bobby, Jessica said, let's see how we're doing. With his head over the sink, Ben stared at the ceiling as warm water ran through his hair. Jessica carefully rinsed out the solution and wiped the cream from his face. Right, time for the dryer now, she said. She untied the cape, and Ben sat under the dryer in his white t-shirt. It seemed like forever, but finally, Jessica was satisfied and released him. Wow, Bobby, that looks amazing, she said, holding up one of the hair extensions next to his head. Perfect match. Ben tried to catch a glimpse of himself in the mirror, but Jessica blocked his view. No, wait until I'm finished. Then you can look. Ben was surprised at how much he was enjoying himself. She worked around him, brushing his hair in smooth strokes, clearly pleased with the results. For the next 3 hours, Ben had to keep turning his head this way and that as Jessica worked on his hair, getting the blonde extensions just right. He read through the magazines she gave him, silently enduring the occasional sharp pulls on his hair. Jessica cut, clipped, and sprayed. She even plucked at his eyebrows with tiny tweezers, which hurt like crazy. "Us girls have to suffer for beauty, you know," she joked. "Okay," she said, giving his hair one final brush. "You can look now." She stepped aside, and Ben gasped. In the mirror was a slim figure with long, honey-blonde hair. Could that really be him? His hair flowed in waves over his shoulders, framing his face. It shone in the salon lights, looking like liquid gold against his white t-shirt. He turned slowly, watching his reflection. "No going back now," he thought. "You know," Jessica said, "if you're still willing to go the distance, there are 2 more things you need." "Beauty isn't just about hair and makeup," Jessica said. "It's the whole image. You have to feel completely at ease with yourself. Otherwise, all the makeup in the world won't help." She opened a drawer at her workstation, and Ben's eyes widened in surprise. It was full of women's prosthetics. Ben's mouth dropped open. "These," Jessica explained, "are part of another line we offer. Do you know what a mastectomy is?" Ben nodded, still stunned. "These are top of the line. They have a special gel inside that makes them move just like the real thing." Ben hadn't expected this at all. Seeing his expression, Jessica laughed. "They just glue on," she said. "It's not permanent." The relief was evident on Ben's face. Jessica quickly gathered his hair under a net cap and had him remove his t-shirt. "These are really for older women, so we'll use the smallest size for you," she said, cleaning his chest with a blue solution before applying clear glue to attach the first prosthetic. The sensation felt odd, and Ben's mind spun. Every boy fantasized about breasts at some point, but this was an entirely new experience. It only took a moment to attach both prosthetics, and Jessica made sure they were secure. They felt heavier than Ben had expected. Was this what real breasts felt like? He'd spent a lot of time running around shirtless, but now he felt strangely exposed. Every movement caused them to bounce gently. He had breasts. He was no longer just a boy with long hair, he was starting to feel like a girl. Surprisingly, this didn't bother him as much as he thought it would. Pulling his t-shirt back on was more difficult than he imagined. Jessica grabbed a measuring tape. You're about a 34B, which is just about right for a girl your age," she said. She studied him again, amazed by the transformation. She had expected more resistance, but Ben seemed at ease. Ben stared at himself in the mirror. "I really do look like a girl," he grinned. "Cool." "Yes, and a very cute one, too," Jessica said. "You're going to need a bra to support those." She was right. Every time he moved, he could feel them shifting under his shirt. "Okay, what's next?" Ben asked. Jessica beamed and wheeled over a trolley full of makeup. "This is all from our new Teen Angel range. Let's start strong." She pulled his hair back from his face and slipped a wide pink headband over it. Ben watched, fascinated, as his face transformed. Jessica took her time choosing colors that suited his complexion, explaining each step along the way. Ben was so intrigued that he even asked if he could try a little on himself. "Well, if you're really that interested, maybe we can find time to show you some tricks later," Jessica said with a smile. His boyish features slowly transformed under layers of makeup. "Almost done," Jessica said as she applied a light, translucent pink lipstick called Morning Sky. "Almost there," she said again. She removed the headband and expertly flicked his hair back into place. "Just a little spray to set the style, and we're done." She stepped back to admire her work. "Oh, Ben, you look amazing. This one's definitely going in the scrapbook." Ben had been surprised before, but now he was in complete shock. In the mirror, he saw large, dark eyes with long lashes that sparkled, a flawless face with smoky blue eyeshadow making his eyes look much larger, and just a hint of blush giving him perfect cheekbones. But it was the mouth that really made the transformation complete. His full lips gleamed with a soft pink sheen. The girls would be stunned, and his mom was going to flip. Jessica came back with a camera. "Walk up and down for me," she said. The camera clicked as Ben nervously paraded around the bright salon. I can't wait to see you on the shoot with all the others, Jessica said, grinning. I don't suppose you have any girls' clothes with you, do you? It seems such a shame to see you in jeans and sneakers. It hadn't even crossed his mind how out of place his usual clothes would look with a girl's head on his body. He never imagined he'd end up looking like this. Jessica went to the back. Here, try these. They should be close to your size, she said, handing him a short pink dress and jacket, with a pair of opaque white pantyhose and a matching headband. There are boxes of shoes in the back storeroom. See if any fit. Ben nearly ran to the back, where there were bench seats and a small lunchroom area. He opened a couple of showboxes and sat down. The shoes were white leather aerobic-style slippers. After a couple of tries, he found a pair that fit perfectly over the thin pantyhose. Ben pulled the dress over his head, messing up his hair in the process. He realized he should have put the headband on first. A rack of brushes stood near the mirror, and Ben tried his best to fix the mess he'd made. Pressed into the mirror frame were several photos of young women in outfits identical to his. They were laughing, eating pizza, and having a great time. As he studied himself in the mirror, Ben realized he could easily pass for one of them. The women in the pictures all had their hair tied in neat ponytails, so he used the hairband to do the same. Ben walked back into the salon, the dress clinging to his thighs, forcing him to take smaller steps than usual. The flash of a camera greeted him. You look just perfect, said Jessica. Maybe we should have you join the classes when the students come back after their summer break. Ben giggled, looking down at his feet. Oh boy, he thought, now I'm even starting to act like a girl. Your mom will be finishing work soon. She said she would stop by to see how you were doing. Though I doubt she'll recognize her son now. Ben glanced at one of the salon mirrors. He didn't even recognize himself. In the meantime, you can help me tidy the salon. It'll give you a chance to see how hard us girls have to work around here. As Jessica sorted out the makeup trolley, Ben swept under the chairs. There was a surprising amount of golden hair to clean up. He was rinsing the sink when the door opened. Hi Jessica, his mom called as she walked in. I'm looking for my Ben. Has he been here? A student was working at one of the sinks and hadn't expected anyone else to be around. Jessica led her past the girl and into the back room. The student smiled as they passed. Yes, Ben came all right, but he's not here anymore, Jessica laughed, holding up Ben's sneakers. His mom suddenly realized who the young girl was cleaning the salon. Ben, she said, stunned. Is that really you? She had expected Ben to bolt the moment he met Jessica, but instead, he'd gone through with it and now, he was beautiful. Any mother would be proud to have a daughter like this. Hi, Mom. My God, Ben. I can't believe it. You look fantastic. I might need to come in for a makeover if that's how good Jessica can make you look. She touched his hair. Jesus. That's not a wig. Ben's mom was flustered. It took Jessica some time to explain what she had done, and they all sat down in the lunchroom. It felt strange to drink coffee with his mom while dressed as a girl. Worse still, his mom kept glancing at him with a puzzled look on her face. Ben started to wonder if he had let this go too far. So, you decided to really see if you could play the part? His mom asked. I'm not sure what to do. You can't just go around normally with your hair like that. She thought for a moment. Okay. The photo shoot is still 2 weeks away. I think you'll have to stay as a girl until it's over. Ben blanched. 2 weeks. Watching himself change in the salon mirror had been fun, but he had only expected to dress as a girl for the photos. 2 weeks. He couldn't bear the thought of staying inside for 2 weeks, but going out in public as a girl was another thing altogether. He fingered the hem of his dress. But Mom, I can't. I mean. His mom interrupted. Of course, we'll have to get you some new clothes for going out. Oh God, she was actually getting into the idea. Ben knew that look. Once his mom made up her mind, there was no turning back. He looked at Jessica for help, but she was no help at all. Sitting there with his long hair, all made up, and wearing a pink salon assistant outfit, Ben realized he had no position to argue. He was sunk. For the next 2 weeks, he was going to be a girl. "Don't worry, Ben," Jessica said, "it's going to be fun. I've always wanted a daughter to take shopping." Jessica stood in the salon doorway as mother and daughter got into the station wagon. She had insisted Ben keep the uniform. "Now you can come by the salon and help out until the photo shoot is over," she said. Ben was loaded down with brushes, skincare products, and more makeup than he thought necessary. His boy's clothes were stuffed into a plastic bag. 2 weeks, Ben thought. There's enough stuff here for 2 years.